Hey you guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Had a great week. I've missed you guys. I decided that I was gonna take a couple weeks off, not really dedicating any time to recording any videos, as I wanted to again practice what I preach as well about resting, but I also wanted to take the time, be present, enjoy the summer. I had my sister and her family come stay with me for a week, and so I just really wanted to submerge myself, be present with them, and not have my mind or my attention diverted to many different things. So on this journey, I practice resting, and I also advocate for it, and I was about to say preach it, but not necessarily preach it, but I also recommend it. And I'm one of those individuals that really truly strive to practice what I preach, practice what I put out there, and that's what I've been up to. That's exactly what I've been up to. And also just getting into the space of like really slowing myself down and really just enjoying the season that I'm in, enjoying what I've built, enjoying what God has blessed me with, enjoying this time, this space, this freedom. That's what I do. So you guys, welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new to this channel, new to this space, my name is Tracy. I make faith-based content. I like to share my own personal experiences. I like to share what I've learned, what I've been learning, the season I'm currently going through. I like to encourage others, and this is what this space is about. So if you're interested, come along with the journey. Like, subscribe to this channel, like the videos, and hopefully something will resonate with you. All right, you guys. So for this video, I have been in a space, like I said, of resting, really truly being present, not having my attention diverted to so many different things. It's not to say that missed recording, I did, but I also know there's a time and space for it. And one of the things when I started this channel, one of the things that I also wanted to not so much practice, but as I'm building something new, as I'm building this YouTube channel, my next goals that I'm trying to build. One of the things that is really important to me is really cultivating rest. So having designated times that I set aside to rest, build what I need to build, and then rest. And I've been very mindful of how even God does things, and how God has been meticulous from since the beginning. I've studied and tried to observe God's patterns, and how even God himself rests with the whole creation, and how he rested on the seventh day and did the work that was necessary within the 6 days, and on the seventh day rest. And this year is actually 7 years that I've been on this journey. And when I mean on this journey, it has been a journey of ups and downs, unlearning, relearning, going off track, getting back on track, having God's Spirit just lead me. There were times where I wanted to do my own thing and went off to my own thing. Then grace of God bring me back on track. So yeah, it's been 7 years of that. And if I had to really select one word that would describe these last 7 years, it has been transformative. It's transformation. And if you would have asked me 7 years ago, is this what transformation would have looked like? Would it have been possible? I can't say in full faith and confidence that, yeah, I would have said, yeah, this is what it is. I can't even say that I would have said yes right away. But nonetheless, I know, like I said, I've been trying to study, try to understand God. And I'm at this space now where I have accepted that I will not know everything. Things may not make sense to me, how God does things, but I have learned to be comfortable with that. I have learned to be comfortable in the unknown. I have learned to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I was a type of person before where I would have wanted to know all of the details, would have wanted to know the beginning to the end, would have wanted to know all the intricate steps, details, stops, answers, everything before even proceeding. I wasn't always like that. There have been instances in my life where I've kind of just taken the plunge, dove into something without really thinking. And now, 7 years later, is different. It's so different. It's so different. On one hand, I could see where now God has slowed me down. So now I am more cautious. I slow things down. I take the time to really analyze the situation and really use the critical thinking skills and really determine if what I am doing or I'm about to do, preparing myself, about to make a decision, is it the best? So I've been learning that, but also on the flip side, learning God's principles and understanding that not everything you're always going to be 100% certain of. Not every decision you're going to be certain on. And there's some things in your journey where you are going to have to rely on your faith and not trust everything by your sight. So there's that. So there's that delicate balance. I want to call it like a dance, but there's that, because also I don't want to get into a space where I take the time and analyze so much that now I am no longer walking by faith. So I'm recognizing that there is that delicate balance there. But I also have learned from my past, and I've also have learned that, yeah, there's some things that you do not necessarily have to learn the hard way, and there's some things that, yeah, maybe in certain situations you're better off slowing down and really getting the knowledge, getting the wisdom, getting the feedback, waiting to make a decision. So you have all the evidence that you need, all of the answers, and making the best informed decision for you. So I'm learning that as well. So a lot of transformation, like I said, within these last 7 years. And I know I am in the 7th year, And a lot of work, a lot of effort has gone into these last 6 years of, like I said, unlearning, relearning, awareness of patterns, changing habits, truly sitting down, dealing with myself, dealing with whatever God brings up to my awareness, my attention, that finally, like, addressing it, going to therapy. And I could be transparent, I could be open, going to therapy, dealing with stuff, right? Like I said, changing habits, changing circles, changing jobs, changing friendships, even just understanding like your own dynamics in terms of how you relate to people, type of people who you date, you start life with, like the importance of these decisions. So much has shifted, has changed, and like I said, very transformative. And so I like to turn back around. I like to share what I've learned, share what I've been walking through, so that whoever's watching these videos at a later date may either be able to take something away from it, may learn something from it, and that there's wisdom in that. There is wisdom. Before, I used to be the type of person that, again, very immature in my thinking, in my thinking, and that I wanted to learn on my own, learn from my own experiences, and go from there. But now, again, walking through this, journey, and then just coming into the understanding that not everything I need to learn, not everything I need to learn the hard way. There's better ways to do things. There's better way, and there's people around that are ahead of me, that have gone ahead, are more mature, more seasoned in their walk of life, and even in their walk with the Lord, that can share their wisdom with me and help support me and guide me. And I can confidently say that I am now at a place where I can actually be appreciative of the wisdom, be appreciative of the help, be appreciative of the guidance. And I also know that I can learn from the mistakes that others have made and not try to make those same mistakes. Especially when I was younger, I used to get constantly told, like, I don't have to always learn the hard way, I don't have to sweat the small stuff. And I finally understand it. And I'm grateful now. I'm grateful. God has given me the opportunity, the blessing to start life all over again. And I am so grateful. I am so humble. I am so aware that I myself don't know everything. I myself have so much to learn. Still so much to learn. I myself need help. And it's okay to ask for help. I used to look at it in the past as like a weakness, and I could figure things out on my own. Now, I don't necessarily want to do that. I am so appreciative of anyone that's willing to help, anyone that's willing to share their wisdom, anyone that's willing to offer a helping hand. Yeah. I'm telling you, how the Lord will work on you, how the Lord will work on your heart, your perspective, your mind. Yeah. And so now, even with this blessing, as I said, this opportunity for another chance at life and restarting it, I have a different perspective on it. And I'm grateful that I still get to be a student of life, and I still get to continue to learn and continue to be on this journey, which is a blessing in itself. So that being said, one of the things that I've had to pay attention to, I guess there's 3 areas. And one of the things that's been pressing on my mind is when you are called and when you get another opportunity to start life, and you get an opportunity to share your wisdom with others and just bless them with it. I see things a little bit differently now. I look at my past and I'm not so critical and not so harsh with myself anymore. I recognize the fact that, yes, did I know everything at the time? No. Was I making decisions that were premature? Yes. Did I get everything wrong? No, I got things right. Some things right and some things wrong. But also at the same time, there was a lesson in that. There's a beauty in that. Whereas before I may have looked at things as things were ashes, looked back on my life and be so distraught that things didn't work out, relationships didn't work out, goals and dreams that I had didn't work out, businesses that I tried to start never flourished. And it's okay. Or even things that I thought I had wanted didn't work out. And I'm grateful for them now. I'm grateful for the fact that, there were endings. I'm grateful for the fact that, you know what? Yeah, maybe that career didn't go as I had expected, but maybe that was a blessing in itself. Because now I can't confidently sit down here and say that I would have wanted that to work out, because I would have been miserable. I would have been in a different space. Even when it comes to relationships and just seeing things for what they are, relationships didn't work out. I'm grateful because also now I see the growth, I see the transformation, I see the areas that, I wasn't aware of. I see the areas in my own life, in my own self, where I was running and trying to avoid. And I'm grateful that I had this opportunity of these last 6 years to really unpack a lot of these things, to really get to know myself, to really tackle this. And it's not to say that I have everything figured out, because it's not the case. It's still a work in progress, but I'm grateful that the Lord stepped in. I like to look at it as like divine intervention, but that the Lord stepped in and brought things to my awareness. Like, okay, this relationship, these friendships not working out. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, but maybe there's something else that you need to pay attention to. Okay, the career, the business, all these things. You thought you would have wanted it, but actually probably would have been detrimental to your health. You would have continued to overwork yourself. You would have continued to give constantly, not learning boundaries, not learning how to say no. Continuing the cycle of like pleasing everyone and depleting yourself in the process. Yeah, I can go on so many examples, but I'm so grateful that I've gotten this opportunity to self-reflect and transform. And God will do something in your life. That divine intervention, that transformation of your life, of yourself, even transforming the way that you think and how you see things. So yes, although at 40 starting over. It's not even starting over, because I don't even feel that way that it's starting over. I feel that it's more starting a new chapter, but you're never fully starting over. You've gotten the opportunity to walk through certain seasons. You've gotten the opportunity to learn from those lessons. And like I said, I'm in a space now where I get to slow down and I get to really truly reflect and think. And I get to look back and I'm like, hey, I've learned so much along the way. I've learned so much. My decisions that I make now is from a different space. It's from a different level. It's not from where I used to be 20 years ago. It's not from where I used to be 10 years ago. It's not from where I used to be 7 years ago. So you're not really fully starting over. You're just starting over at a different point with much more wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And these last 2 weeks, I have gotten to see how God has worked in 3 areas where God has been taking me and shifting my perspective to see that there was a time and there was a season where God had to prune me, and God was pruning me. God was taking so much out of me that I needed to be rid of. So for myself, it was the trauma, it was the pain, it was the emotional neglect, it was the childhood trauma, adulthood trauma, and abuse. And I look back now and I'm like, wow, God, I hadn't known, I hadn't realized that I was still continuing that cycle. I'm the type of person that, well, I guess I used to be the type of person that would internalize everything. So although I was no longer in that childhood home that was abusive, although I was no longer in those abusive relationships, emotionally abusive, physically abusive, financially abusive, although I was no longer in those situations anymore. And like, when I tell you toxic, cheating, lies, gaslighting, you name it, all of it. Even though I was no longer in that, didn't mean that I didn't continue the cycle, but now internalizing all of that and just abusing my own self. I didn't realize that, okay, when I stepped into my career now, I'm thinking, okay, I'm a grown person, I'm an adult, I can make decisions, I'm starting my career, not realizing that, wait, hold on now, guess what? You don't know boundaries. You don't know how to say no. You're constantly trying to get everybody to like you. You're people pleasing to the detriment of your own health. So you're just in turn abusing your own self. You don't know how to stand up for yourself. All these different things that God had to bring into my awareness. And then once God brought all these things into my awareness, now there's a level of grief and there's a level of guilt and shame and emotions that you have to go through. But like I said, that was just for a season. That was a season that God was pruning me. God had to bring these things into my awareness so I can actually start working on them. And that's what I did. Started healing, started going to therapy, started doing a lot of internal work, and yeah, had to become aware of that, unlearn all those patterns, and then start the journey of building new ones. And it's not to say, like I said, I didn't lose my way. I didn't always follow God, but God always had a way of bringing me back on track. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that season. I'm grateful. And I always thought, especially as I was walking through it, that it was the end. Little did I know it wasn't the end. There was still more to it. There's still more healing. There's still more that God wants to show you. And along the way, God also has to put you into situations where to see if you've really healed, if you really have learned some lessons, if you've really learned. And there were some instances where I could sit down here and say that, no, I didn't get it right. Even though, like, God had taken me out of these situations, even though I had started the healing of started the journey of healing, even though I had started doing internal work, there were mistakes that were made, and yeah, God put me back on track. I'm not going to sit down here and say, no, I was a victim, people came along and took advantage. That may have been the case, but we're not going to sit down here and we're not going to dwell on that, because God brought me out of that, and I've had to learn from those things, and I did. So that was a season of pruning. That was a season of awareness. That was a season of unlearning. That was the season where, my gosh, so painful. So painful. However, if you are in this current season, if you are in a season where God is showing you things about yourself, revealing a lot of certain things to yourself, revealing patterns, revealing generational cycles, I'm just going to say, be patient, stay with the process, continue to trust God, continue to lean into God. I know there's going to be times where you may not understand why you're having to go through this. You may feel frustrated with the process. And even just timing of it. You may start to find yourself very upset, very frustrated that it's taking so long, not knowing when's it going to come to an end. I'm just here to say, like, continue with it, and it is going to come to an end. You will get your breakthrough. You will get your breakthrough. And what I've learned also is that God does things in stages. It's not like you're completely healed, you completely unlearned everything all at once. It happens gradually in stages, and it's seasons. And then once you learn what you need to learn in this particular season, unlearn what you need to learn, relearn new ways, new healthier ways, you get to move on. And you do move on until something else comes up, right? But it's in layers. I like to look at it as like an onion. You peel back the onion one layer at a time. That's how God is so patient. So that's the pruning stage. And the next area is preparation. So as I been taking the time to reflect, I see how God has been preparing my own life. And that's just the methodology. I see how God is working. There's a pruning because there's things that God, where God wants to take you, God already knows you. God already knows there's stuff that's inside of you that can't go. That stuff that you've picked up along the way that just can't go with you. Habits, thinking, trauma, whatever, fill in the blank. So God needs to prune it out of you. But then once that's done, God needs to prepare you. So this is where you get to go on a different type of journey, where you get to learn new things, you get to discover yourself, you get to discover God, you get to discover your new identity, who you are. You get to discover new habits, new ways of thinking, new knowledge, things that's actually going to strengthen you, things that's actually going to pour into you, things that's going to elevate you, things that's going to be impactful to you and the transformation that, God is working through you. And so this part of the process is I was going to say it's wonderful, But there's also a little bit of tug and pull in this stage of preparation, because old feelings can surface up, of feeling frustrated, a feeling like, why didn't you know this sooner? Because had you known all this stuff before, you wouldn't have made the certain decisions that you made in the past. And so some guilt will come in. But this is where learning new habits, this is where retraining your mind, this is where surrounding yourself with different people, positive people, people who are encouraging to you, people who can pour into you, people who have the wisdom that you need. It's in this stage where you get all of this goodness from God. And like I said, you just have to continue with the process in order to get here. In order to get here. And then again, like, it's still trusting God, still trusting that God knows you. God has a plan to prosper you and not harm you. God knows the beginning to the end. And God knows what's good for you. Remember, God created you. So God knows already what you think, already what you're going to think, what you're going to say. God knows you. God knows what you need. So it's in this stage, in this, I guess this stage, this area, this season of my life where I learned to just completely surrender. Surrender. Surrender what I think I know. Surrender where I think I should go. Surrender my own plans, my thoughts. And I'm just like, okay, God, you know what? You know me better than anyone because you created me. So again, if I don't know something, if I need direction, I'm going to go back to the Creator. The Creator who invented this all. The Creator who invented me, who created me, who thought of me. And I'm going to be like, God, help me out here. Help me out here. You see the bigger picture, so I'm going to need your instructions. You see how I am, how I think. What is it that I need to know? God, I may not know what to do in this particular instance, so I need some strategy. And I pray. And I try my very best to quiet my mind and try my very best to practice getting into my word. Even practice getting quiet, staying quiet, getting myself in a position where I'm listening, I'm receptive to God. Not just me always talking, because Lord knows, the Lord knows I love to talk, but just getting into a position of hearing from Him and just being patient with it, because I can be impatient. I may want things, I may want answers right away, and God still has to be like, okay, we're going to slow things down. This is still an area that I need to work on in you, so we're going to do that. And it could be like that with you too, if you're like that. So, preparation. Until God sets you up for the next season, which is positioning you. This is the stage, this is the season, this is the area of your life where you have acquired a knowledge what you needed to acquire. You have a level of understanding. You have consumed a lot of information, knowledge, wisdom from others. You have consumed a lot. Now it's time for God to position you to where everything will come together, and everything that you've learned, everything that you've unlearned, everything that you've been walking through, everything that you've patiently waited for, all of the seeds that you have planted, that's where everything just starts to come together. And God now is able to use you. God's able to stretch you. God's able to give you the authority that you need to carry out your assignment. And it's in this particular season of positioning where some doubts are still going to come up. You're not always going to feel like if you're 100% ready. But nonetheless, God makes it so that you are in alignment, you are in position. God makes it so where opportunities come up. God makes it so where everything that you've been walking through, everything that you've learned, everything now is all in alignment. God's giving you the authority to move forward. Now it's up to you. It's up to you now. But just know that God has prepared you. God has shaped you. God has poured into you. God has poured His Spirit into you. There's a level, there's an authority that you have access to now. And you're going to need that authority to get your assignment done. And it's in this particular instance, before you even get to the place where you are actually going to move forward ahead, step into your calling, step into that authority, you will look back and everything will make sense. You will understand. There's a level of understanding that comes in this season. You understand that the things that happened in the past, even if you came from a space of chaos, abuse, whatever, or even if you didn't, there's just setbacks, challenges. You'll understand that even though all those things happened, it didn't take you out. Even though you may even wonder how you are still standing. You may wonder how you got through it. You may wonder how you don't even look like what you went through. There's a grace on you. All those things was never designed to take you out. Was never designed to take you out. What the enemy thought would take you out, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, God saw to it that you wouldn't be taken out. Because God's got a purpose for you. So be patient with this process. Be patient with it. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with God. And if you're not there yet, stick with it. Because there's a level of understanding. There's a level of peace that transcends it all. Where you can look back and you can see even people that came up against you. You can see the setbacks. You could see the injustice. You can see the pain. But look at it from a different perspective. Look at it from with a different lens. You can look at it and say, you know what? I don't know how I made it. I don't know how I'm still sane. I don't know how I'm emotionally able to still walk through this. I don't even know how I'm still so strong. I don't know how I'm still standing. I don't know how I still have this heart and desire to just love and create and pour into others. And I don't know how I haven't been affected or changed, because you yourself may know people that have gone through similar things or even more challenging things, and their character, their heart, their disposition, their mindset, everything has changed about them. But you haven't changed. You have not changed. You're still this beautiful person that God created. And just know, because all of that, although it may have been intended to take you out, God's grace, God's mercy, God's love is so real. God's favor on your life is so real that it didn't take you out. You're still a beautiful person. You're still here walking in God's purpose. You're still walking in your purpose, in your calling. You're still getting up day by day, showing up. And that matters. So this video is just to encourage you. Hopefully you can see things in a different perspective, as I have been illuminated. And that's the beauty of taking the time to rest. That's the beauty of taking the time to be present in your own life. That's the beauty of slowing down, getting into a space of introspection, praying, asking God to reveal certain things to you. And that's the beauty of maturity, of where you can finally get to a space and be like, you know what? Although that may have been evil, although that may have been upsetting, although that may have been traumatizing, although you could not have seen how you were ever going to get out of the situation that you were born into. You couldn't see a way out of the situation that you were in. You made it through. You made it through. And you don't even look like what you went through. So I hope this video sheds a little bit of light on your situation, and maybe a change in your perspective. And maybe this is just a video where you needed to know where perhaps you are in your own journey. But I'm just going to encourage you to continue with the process, continue to pray, continue to slow down, walk with God, take the time. You can't rush certain seasons, and sometimes I was guilty of this, where I had wanted to rush past certain areas in my life, especially during the pruning stage. Lord knows I wanted to get out of that many times. And many times I thought I was okay, go back out into the world, go back into corporate world, go back into certain friendships, even like just dating different people, and realizing, yeah, you know what, I'm not even ready. Okay, so God, let's go right back to the drawing board. Let's sit down here until we learn what we have to learn. And it's just a level of realness with yourself and being honest with yourself and honest with God. That takes time. And then once you get past that pruning stage, it's the preparation stage, and not wallowing in your feelings and not feeling defeated, and still getting back up and still continuing with the progress. and continuing to hold on to faith and to trust. And then before you know it, God has so many opportunities for you. There's a sense of freedom. Now you almost feel like you get to choose what you want to do. There's still responsibility there. There's still a responsibility because there's a lot of things that God has poured into you, but now you still are responsible and you still are accountable for your actions and how you steward your time and your resources and your energy and yourself. But we're going to get into so many other videos because, like I said, God's taken this time. And what I can do is just give back to others. And even not even hold on to my own pain, not hold on to my own areas where I feel vulnerable, or I feel like, ooh, I don't necessarily want to show this side. I don't want to tell these stories. I don't want to show that I'm weak or have these shameful feelings come up. But I've had to learn this week, I'm telling you this week, that it's not for me to hold on to. It's not for me to judge. This is a blessing that God gave me. And like I'm telling you, this is coming from a person who has been through some stuff. Been through some stuff. But I'm grateful for it. Because I'm grateful now that the same stuff that I've been through, I've walked through, I am still here. I am able now to encourage somebody else and to confidently say that, guess what? You too will make it through. You too will rise again. You too have so much life to live. You too are not your past. You too have a purpose. And I'm just so incredibly grateful and honored. So you guys, let's wrap up this video with so much love and a tremendous amount of respect for you guys, for being on this journey. My heart goes out to you guys, and I can't wait. I can't wait to be able to hear your stories, and I can't wait to share more with you guys, and I can't wait to honor the Lord with what He has blessed me with. Stories and lessons and wisdom and pain and beauty, life, goodness, joy. I was going to say happiness, but even happiness. I'm grateful that smiling again. And if I can just encourage you guys to continue to hold on. And tell you that you will make it through. And living your best life is very much possible. And having an abundant life is very much possible. And living a life without suffering is possible. Healing is possible. Love is possible. Hope, joy, peace is possible. That's what this is about. So you guys, take this message with lots of love and encouragement. And I'll see you guys on the next video.